Hello everyone, this is Janali Patel and today we'll be seeing the topic shock, its types and pathogenesis. Now starting off with the topic, shock is a life-threatening clinical syndrome of cardiovascular collapse characterized by acute reduction in effective circulating blood volume and inadequate perfusion of the cells and tissues. So it is actually the imbalance between oxygen supply and oxygen requirements at the cellular level. Now moving on to the classification. So usually shock is classified into hypovolemic, cardiogenic and septic shocks, and other types include traumatic shock, neurogenic shock and hypoadrenal shock. Now these can be categorized by the following. So hypovolemic shock is usually categorized by decreased blood circulation. Cardiogenic shock is categorized by sudden decrease in cardiac output. Septic shock is categorized by bacterial infections, and in other types, traumatic shock is usually due to loss of plasma into the interstitium of injured tissue even after the stoppage of hemorrhage, and neurogenic shock is usually due to interruption of sympathetic vasomotor supply, and hypoadrenal shock is due to unknown decrease in adrenal level. There is one more kind of shock which is usually not caused due to circulatory dearrangement but caused due to type 1 immunologic reaction. This is termed as anaphylactic shock. Now let's know the pathogenesis. So for the pathogenesis, first we'll know the mechanism which occurs normally. Normal circulatory function requires uninterrupted flow of the blood from the left ventricle to the farthest capillaries in the body and return of the blood from the systemic network to the right ventricle to the pulmonary capillaries and back to the left atrium. These mechanisms maintain normal blood flow and tissue perfusion. Now we'll be moving to the dearrangements which are generally found in all forms of shock. So first one is reduced effective circulating blood volume. Second is reduced supply of oxygen to the cells and tissues with resultant anoxia. Third is inflammatory mediators and toxins released from shock-induced cellular injury. Now the first one is reduced effective blood circulation. So as blood circulation decreases, it can either cause hypovolemic shock, which has actual blood loss, or it can cause cardiogenic or septic shock, in which there is decreased cardiac output but the blood volume is not lost actually. Next is impaired tissue perfusion. As we know that cardiac output decreases, there is decrease in venous return, and which results to decrease in circulation of blood, which causes decreased supply of oxygen to organs, tissues, and thus cause cellular injury. Now the third one is release of inflammatory mediators. As there is a cause of cellular injury due to impaired blood supply, it causes the cellular injury causes activation of inflammatory mediators, and these inflammatory mediators eventually aggravating their activity becomes the cause of cellular injury. Now let's see the different types of shock along with their pathogenesis and causes. Now the first one is hypovolemic shock. It occurs due to decreased circulating blood volume and mostly due to loss of RBC, and thus it is also referred as hemorrhagic shock. Now major effects of this shock are decreased cardiac output and decreased intracardiac pressure. Now according to the blood loss, hemorrhagic shock is divided into 4 parts, which is compensated shock, mild, moderate and severe. And major features of these hypovolemic shock are tachycardia, hypotension, oliguria, confusion or lethargy. And the causes of hypovolemic shock are hemorrhage, trauma, surgery, burns and dehydration. The next is cardiogenic shock. It results from severe left ventricular dysfunction, due to which there is decreased cardiac output, and as the cardiac output decreases, there is decreased tissue perfusion and the fluid is moved back into the pulmonary bed and alveoli. Now the initial movement of fluid into the pulmonary bed is called pulmonary edema, whereas the later movement of fluid into the alveolar spaces is termed as alveolar pulmonary edema. Now it is caused due to 3 mechanisms. First is deficiency of emptying that is caused due to myocardial infarction, cardiomyopathy, or cardiac arrhythmias. The second mechanism is deficiency of filling. Now this is caused due to cardiac tamponade from hemopericardium. The third one is outflow obstruction, which is caused due to pulmonary embolism, tension in pneumothorax, dissecting aortic aneurysm. Now next is septic shock. Septic shock results more often from gram-negative bacteria and less often from gram-positive bacteria. In septic shock, there is activation of immune system and other inflammatory responses, which are as follows. Now the first one is activation of macrophage and monocyte. The second one is activation of other inflammatory responses. Activation of macrophage result in increased nitric oxide, which is responsible for vasodilation and hypotension, and it results in altering endothelial cell adhesiveness, which result in more neutrophils, which liberate free radicals and cause cellular injury. Activation of inflammatory responses cause increased vascular permeability, which cause inflammatory edema. There is coagulation of the blood taking place due to alteration in endothelial permeability by the toxins released from the cellular injury, and thus there is reduced blood supply to the tissues, which produces hypotension and inadequate perfusion of cells and tissues, and all these together cause organ dysfunction. It is caused due to gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So examples of gram-negative bacteria are E. coli, Proteus, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas, etc. And examples of gram-positive bacteria are Streptococci and Pneumococci. This was all for today. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe the video. Thank you so much.